All right. Hello, and welcome to this month's Leadership Dolce, Sweet Morsels of Wisdom, where tonight's topic is Speak Up. You already have a seat at the table. I'm Joanne Newborn, certified leadership coach with my company, Newborn Evolution. And I found through my 18 years in my corporate career that there is a real lack of leadership out there. So I'm really passionate about this topic. I really love to help career-focused individuals who feel frustrated and stressed out and unfulfilled to create a leadership mindset for themselves so that they can attain their dream job with their ideal salary. And I like to say a luxurious work-life balance. So I also have my MBA from Penn State with Beta Gamma Sigma honors. I have my ACC credential with the International Coaching Federation, and I am a certified diversity, equity, and inclusion coach. So when I do something, I go all in. I've coached managers, directors, senior directors, VPs, and CEOs with over 40 companies, including some very, very large Fortune 500 companies and some well-known universities, just to name a few. I'm also an international course developer and a subject matter expert for organizations. And most importantly, probably what you should know is that gratitude is my attitude. So away we go. I want to ask you, are you not getting the respect, the recognition, or results that you desire from your colleagues and clients? Or maybe you have fantastic ideas, but you just stay quiet. No one ever hears them. You fear that your superiors and colleagues will think you're silly or dumb if you share your thoughts. Maybe you're nervous and shaky when speaking to higher ups, and the thought of making presentations terrifies you. Or maybe fear of public speaking of any sort is holding you back. And don't worry, it holds a lot of people back. That is a big fear that people have. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. I just want you to think about them for yourself. Have you noticed in companies that you've worked for, or maybe the company that you work for now, that certain people tend to just plateau, right? They reach a ceiling. If you said yes to yourself, did you ever wonder why? My next question is, do you ever think that you yourself have reached a ceiling or a plateau? And if yes, do you ever wonder why? So there may be various reasons why, but today I'm going to talk about a why that we can actually have the power to change. So it means we have the power to also change our results. So what do you think holds us back? Well, I'm going to just tell you. It's mainly fear. It's unconscious a lot of the time. So we might need to peel back the onion a little bit and figure out exactly where that fear is emanating from. But it could potentially look like this. I'm afraid to speak up because I fear racial bias or any kind of bias. I've been ignored before at my previous company, and they treated me like I wasn't an important part of the team. Or it could look like I don't speak up because I'm the only woman amongst a group of male colleagues, or I'm the only male amongst a group of female colleagues, and they're peacocking and acting like a boys and girls club, and I don't feel comfortable saying what I think. Or I don't speak up because my boss will think I'm brazen. Or I don't speak up because I'm just shy. That's the way I am. So I can go on and on and on with this list. But the bottom line is here that we don't want to ruffle any feathers. We'd rather stay invisible and safe and take a risk than be great, than be really amazingly great. So regardless of what the outcomes of the risk might be, we still decide to stay silent. And that could be scary in itself. So the goal here is really to move into a leadership mindset and to become a great leader, no matter what the role might be. And creating a leadership culture for yourself, for your team, and your organization. So I've had clients tell me that they've had great ideas, but they're afraid to tell their managers about them. They think it's not their place, or that no one wants to hear what they have to say. And here's what I say to them. This is what I say to my clients. You already have a seat at the table. This is exactly what you were hired to do. They're paying your salary, your benefits, your bonus. So I ask my clients, why are you robbing them of your great ideas? Because that's what you're literally doing. You're literally robbing your organizations and clients when you do not speak up. Okay. Don't beat yourself up too much about this, because we're going to learn how to work with this. But also, the Journal of Management Studies did some research on this topic, and they found the results consistently have shown that employees are reluctant to speak up. They're even hardwired to remain silent, and 50% of employees keep quiet at work. 50%? This is half of organizations keep quiet at work. And the most frequently mentioned reason for remaining silent was the fear of being viewed or labeled negatively. And as a consequence, they were afraid of damaging valued relationships. Wow. Okay, so like I said, you're not alone. So as a leader, and when I say leader, I mean everyone. It doesn't mean you're a people manager. Anyone is a leader, and everyone should be thinking about how they could be a leader. So as a leader, we will have creative ideas that may be brilliant, that everyone will disagree with. We could have really brilliant ideas and people will disagree with them. Or we might draw a boundary and people will get upset with us. Or someone might not like our energy or our style or our personality. These things happen. But you might find yourself rarely getting promoted or doing anything notable. Maybe people look past you when it comes time for promotions, right? For some reason, it's always someone else getting the recognition. And you might not feel very proud of your accomplishments. And eventually what's going to happen is that we are going to feel unsatisfied and disgruntled with our jobs. So what's the high price of not speaking up? We're going to be living in constant fear of someone's anger or displeasure. And we'll also have limited capacity to express our own emotions. So I want to dive in around the whys of how we stop ourselves from speaking up, and then some actionable ways that we can start to overcome this. So what's going on in our minds when we're acting too nice and we don't speak up, and then really we stop ourselves from being more of a leader? When we're too nice and we have fear around speaking up, we're basically saying to everyone around us silently, we're saying this, please like me, please. And this is really about wanting to be liked. And it really turns into an obsession unconsciously. This is all going on in our mind, in the mind chatter in our mind. We start to obsess over it. We start to implement unconsciously social patterns that are here to minimize any sort of disapproval, to garner positive attention, right? So we start kind of twisting ourselves in a pretzel, and we'll do things like this: hesitating, overthinking what we're going to say next, not interrupting ever, excessively smiling and nodding, right? I used to do that a lot. Being too quick to laugh at something, agreeing when we don't really agree. Like, how many times do we just agree when we don't at all? We're holding back. We're not speaking up. We're avoiding eye contact. We're trying really hard to fit in. Maybe we name drop, or maybe we're trying really hard to impress people. So these are social patterns that we really start to unconsciously start to do on a regular basis when we are trying so hard to be liked and to fit in. And they drain us, right? They make us feel powerless, and they create an energy of neediness and inauthenticity, which becomes a strong relationship repellent. And so that goes back to why I was saying we don't get promoted. And leaders don't do things like this. Leaders are authentic. Leaders are actually vulnerable as well. And so we'll get into that in a little bit. So this is where conditioning comes in, right? We want to feel safe. We want to feel protected. We want to feel comfortable. And anything outside of that feels wrong. It feels bad. It feels selfish. And it makes us unworthy to be liked. And so what happens is we start constantly seeking validation, right? And anything outside of the validation is telling us unconsciously that we're unworthy. So I want you to pause and think about for a moment life without needing validation, right? That we become so secure in ourselves that we no longer need validation. It's really difficult to do. That is probably one of the hardest things to do, but we can start to practice that, right? How can we start to detach ourselves from validation? The more we can do this, the more free we become to be a leader. So let's talk again about some of the things we do to seek out validation in our careers. And there's no judgment here, but I want you to be really honest with yourself if you hear some of these things that I'm saying out loud, if you do them, because you're going to start to see certain patterns that you have put in place that you act upon over and over again to get validation and approval from others. And I'm going to be honest, like I do it too. I'm not perfect, but the awareness is what's really important. So do you try to impress others with your knowledge? Do you exaggerate the truth a little bit so people see you as exciting and cool? I've had people tell me that, like, oh, you're exaggerating, Joanne. You know, I had to take ownership of that. Do you name drop? Do you avoid saying no so you can please others? Maybe you have a nervous laugh. I went out to dinner the other night and I heard someone at dinner that had this nervous laugh, and it was like nails on a chalkboard to me. Why? Because it's something that I used to do, right? So now it's like, oh, I can't believe I used to do that. And once you start to become aware of it, it really stands out. So I can notice a nervous laugh in someone immediately. And what it's doing when we have a nervous laugh, it's basically covering up what we're really feeling. We're feeling something else, and then we do this kind of weird nervous laugh on top of it. And so that's the moment we go from being authentic to inauthentic, when we have this little nervous laugh. Do you hesitate on what you say because you just want to be absolutely sure it's the right thing to say? Are you overly agreeable? Do you feel pressure to entertain people? You know, sometimes when people are really funny, it's also sort of covering up who they really are. Not all people, but it's just sometimes, you know, the class clown. Do you apologize often? How often do you catch yourself saying like, oh, sorry about that? I used to apologize all the time, even to like strangers that bumped into me on the street, like, oh, sorry, go ahead. So I had to catch myself doing that. I definitely don't do that anymore. What's your body language like? Is it submissive, right? Shoulders, do you look down? Are you hunched? Are you hiding yourself? Do you not state your own desires? So these are things to think about. Are we trying to fit in? Do we change ourselves to fit in? So all this big whole list is really to have you start having a self-awareness around these things, so you can start to recognize these behaviors in yourself. and to really, really catch yourself on a daily basis, because these behaviors are so ingrained in us that we don't even know we're doing them. So when I started to keep track of how many times I said, "Oh, sorry," every day, it was tremendous. And like I said, I don't apologize anymore for silly reasons. I apologize when I did something wrong, and it's more of a conversation than just this empty space filler that is saying, I'm not worthy, but you are. So please go ahead of me in my career and in my life. No, I know I'm not saying that anymore. So just to recognize these things. And so now let's talk about how you might show up as an empowered leader. The part of you that is whole, complete, secure, and capable. Okay, so here we go. You might want to take out a pen and paper. You don't need to be liked by everyone or control everyone's perception of you, because when you try to control, they might not like you anyway. So you only need to find your own tribe. You don't need to find everyone. So let the rest go. You don't need to see others as better than you are, right? The way I did. You know you matter. Your thoughts, feelings, opinions, they're worth sharing just because they're part of who you are. You don't need something from every single interaction you have. That's validation again. You can allow yourself to focus on being curious, sharing, connecting, and enjoying each moment. You are the only source of approval that matters. And I'm going to say that again because it's really important. You are the only source of approval that really matters. You don't need to be liked. That's really hard, but you don't need to be liked. You can allow permission to others to think whatever they want about you. We're really diverse humans that are all different. And so not everyone is going to like everyone else. Obviously, if you go on social media, you can see that quite clearly. And it would be impossible for 100% of people to like you. So why are we going to bother to even waste that energy? Do you know how much energy we're wasting by trying to have people like us that don't even matter? You don't need to fear harsh judgment of others. Actually, the world is a friendly place. So if someone is harsh, they are disconnected from their own heart, and they are suffering the most from their own self-judgment. Because if they're judging you, they're judging themselves just as harshly. And you don't need to worry about ruffling feathers. You can give yourself permission to speak freely, honestly, and directly. Friction is going to be inevitable. There's always going to be friction. I'm part of a group that is for human resources, and I put a question in there for my client. And the discussion inside of this professional human resources group on Facebook got like really out of hand, and it got heated. And so someone even said that my client was sexist for the question I was asking for him, which wasn't true at all. And I had to go into the group and I said, hey guys, and can we just keep this professional and reserve judgment? So I had to speak up. I could not let this kind of behavior continue in a professional space. So the point is, we don't know how people are going to react. I just asked a simple HR question for a client, and I could not have imagined that it was going to go down that road. So did I feel judged by these people that got upset? No, not at all. I took away what I needed from it and I ignored the rest. People are going to get ruffled from time to time, especially as you can see in this world of technology. When we're kind of hidden, it becomes a lot easier to have stronger opinions. So just be aware of that as well. We don't need to worry about standing out from the crowd. Stand up for what you believe in and what you are doing is the best for you, your organization, those you care about around you. You no longer have to think, what will they think? You can give yourself permission to say, who cares what they think? Be proud of what you're doing and self promote as much as it feels authentic to you. And just know you have the right to take breaks, to socialize, like whatever it is that you need to do, you have the right to do. Okay, so these are all things that you can start to work on. That was a lot of information. Pick one or two that you might want to start working on now. I'm not a big fan of jumping in and doing it all at once. I really like baby steps, right? So pick one or two and see, oh, hey, that wasn't so scary. Hey, I tried this. That wasn't so bad. The other piece is that speaking up is only 10% of the strategy. It's our inner energy that actually accounts for 90% of our results. When we can carefully plan out whatever it is we want to say, right? We can have a script, we can have it written down, we can have cards, whatever it is. We can have it memorized. If we become seized with fear, the moment we start to say it, it loses all of its impact. It doesn't matter what the words are coming out of our mouth. So it's our inner self that people are always reacting to. They're not reacting to the words that we're saying. Yes, they're informational and we want to, people to hear them, but it's our energy that's coming across before us, our inner strength, how courageous we are, how bold we are, how vulnerable we are. I always tell people vulnerability is a big leadership skill. We think we don't want to be vulnerable in the workplace. Now, I'm not saying, to just throw all your cards on the table, but there is a sense of being vulnerable. And part of that is taking risks in the workplace that is really grounded in leadership. So we're determining actually by our energy how our words are going to land on people and the results that we'll see. And so the last piece that I want to talk about, well, second to last piece, is there's a tremendous amount of power in communicating with assertiveness. We'll allow ourselves to be more upfront, direct, and clear in our intentions. We stop implying and we just say what we mean. We become effective communicators. We get more of what we want. Isn't that what we want? And it makes others actually like us more, believe it or not, when we're assertive. We might not think that, but it's true. When we're assertive and direct, people know exactly what they're getting. And when they know that, they feel safe around us, right? We eliminate the element of unpredictability, because when we're unpredictable, and we might say something that someone wants to hear, we're not being true to ourselves. And so what will happen is we might change our minds later. And now all of a sudden the person's like, but you said that before when we were in the meeting together. Now, why are you reneging on that? Or you might do that because you realize that's not what you want after the moment ended. Or we might go sneaking around and make new decisions behind the scenes. How many times have that has happened to you in the workplace? Or we might even get upset with the other person that we, changed ourselves to please, and then say, well, so-and-so, said this and they made me do this. We kind of make up these stories, right, to make it true. So when we're really grounded in knowing what we want and stating it and saying it assertively and directly, people know exactly what they're going to get from us when they're interacting with us. And that makes them feel safe around us, and it makes them trust us and like us more. So even though it might feel difficult to be assertive and direct, again, take it in baby steps, try it once, twice. You're going to have much better relationships with people when you do. So this is the last piece. I want you to think about these things, and you might want to write them down also. Ask yourself these questions the next time you have an idea that you want to share in the workplace. Do I really believe in this idea? Do I own my own voice? Am I rooted in my decision? Do I love my management style? Again, it does not mean you manage people. It just means how you manage yourself. And then own it. Own all of it. Ask yourself, is there room here for growth and learning? I'm going to tell you a secret. There's always room for growth and learning. There's no room for self-doubt. And then know your foundation is strong and step outside of the comfort zone of being nice and liked. And so just take a small spoonful of it from the start, right? You don't have to go all in all the way. I've been saying that. That's a recipe for failure to me. Because what happens is we go, oh my God, this is so scary. I'm going to run back to my comfort zone. Just take baby steps. Try it once, then try it again. I like baby steps because baby steps eventually, lead to running. We walk, baby step, we walk, then we run. And then get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You might feel some anxiety or guilt after you start to become more direct or expressive or honest, right? It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but you're never going to get overlooked again. I can promise you that. So if you want to be a true leader, you're going to have to get comfortable with people not always being happy. And you'll have to stop slipping into people pleaser mode because you're leading people. You're not playing in the playground. This is real life now. So we have to start living it, living in our power and leading the way. So you got this. So I am doing a deep dive on this topic in my July's Leadership Transformation League. That is my group coaching program. And I also have quite a lengthy self-study course on speaking up that takes you through everything step by step, much more broad than what I touched upon tonight. So I'll put links in the comments later on tonight to both of those. And I'm going to head into the Leadership Lounge, into our VIP room for some hot seat coaching. And I want to thank everyone on Facebook for joining me. And I can't wait to hear about all the wonderful contributions you're going to have once you start speaking up. Bye.